Mana was a 2D Japanese role-playing game, or JRPG, that was released way back in 1995 for the Super Nintendo console. As of this year, it's made the transition into a fresh-faced 3D remake that stays true to its roots, for better or for worse. As with a lot of fantasy games, there's a very rich and deep lore behind it that Trials of Mana dedicates a lot of time to telling you about. But Cliff Notes version, evil forces are rallying to capture the 8 Mana Stones, to release the ancient beasts within them, effectively dooming the world.
Burn to the ground!
And the only ones who can stop them are you and your merry band of misfits. Your party is made up of 3 out of 6 available characters, with one being your lead and the other 2 as backups. Each has their own backstories and are stronger in some areas than others, which is important to keep in mind if you're looking to build a specialised team. I, however, ignored all of that and chose my team for the following reasons. Reese, because anyone with the neck strength to carry that headpiece around is not to be messed with.
It is unwise to get in our realm.
Hawkeye, because I was hoping he'd turn into a bird at some point.
What is going on?
And Kevin, because this is an epic fantasy story and his name is Kevin.
Sorry.
A special mention to Charlotte, though, who would have been my lead until I heard her speak.
Can I, please?
Oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard. What I did like, though, was that you do get to spend a good deal of time with your lead before the story actually kicks in. Getting to see their place in the world and what their life was like before it all went out the window.
What's the problem?
You also have the option of viewing your companions' opening scenes when you meet them, to get a better understanding of how they fit into the story.
Hawkeye, pained by the loss of his dear friend, set off for Wendell to find a way to lift Jessica's curse.
It really made me care about my characters' struggles when they had a personal reason to get involved beyond just saving the world. As far as combat goes, though, there isn't as great a level of depth. It's mostly hack and slashy, using a combination of light, heavy, and when you have enough energy built up, class strike attacks. Enemies have telegraphed attack patterns, so most fights boil down to dodge rolling and then wailing on them until they stop moving. But it is very fluid, and your strikes feel like they have real weight behind them, which makes ending a rather persistent enemy that much more satisfying. In tougher fights, you'll also be peppering in the use of magical and healing items to give your team an edge and keep you in the game.
Not again!
If you're looking for a rich, strategic fighting experience, you're probably going to be disappointed, as even though each character is advertised as a different kind of fighter, I felt they played mostly the same. Reese, though a ranger, had very little in the way of range abilities, and would often have to get in close with the aggros to actually be of use in a tough fight. And there are a lot of tough fights, even early on. One that stands out in particular is my first encounter with the duplicitous duo Bill and Ben, who blatantly cheat by healing each other up when they're about to be defeated.
Thanks, Bill!
Healing is only okay when I do it, yeah? It's called strategy. Though a lot of abilities are gated behind level requirements, you'll be able to unlock them as you progress. While the locks weren't a concern on their own, it did make for some confusion, as I was being told I could equip spells and abilities I wasn't able to access yet. So a bit more clarity would have been appreciated. And while our heroes themselves are lively and full of personality, the world itself, though gorgeous, feels hollow. You'll practically be tripping over the same few enemies in combat as you go from objective to objective in the wild. And the towns are made up of mostly repeating buildings, the same few NPCs. Oh, and this guy. With all the backtracking the story makes you do, it can start to feel a bit stale at times. And I think a lot of that is down to it having been plucked out of 1995. It just feels dated. Trials of Mana is still pretty fun, and as far as RPGs go, it's hitting the right notes, but it doesn't really do anything that special. Some may see its faithfulness to the original as endearing and a much-needed throwback to a lost era of gaming. I, however, found it only served to highlight how far games have come since then. And while the graphic overhaul was a feast for the eyes, the final product just failed to capture my heart. So I'm giving Trials of Mana 3 out of 5 rubber chickens.